was a different King. This would be a loser must bow match between King Harley Race and the Junkyard Dog.
Side note, I actually watched this pay-per-view last year, I think.
I think I did too. Honestly.
I don't think we reviewed it on the show, but
no,
I remember watching it last year. I think right before WrestleMania, because usually before WrestleMania season or during it, I get to watch. I started watching WrestleMania because that's the big kid in me.
So what I actually know when I watched it. I watched it about the summer before you and I got started with the show. Okay. And the reason being is someone was doing a countdown of their all-time favorite WrestleMania matches, and a match that was later on in the night. I'll reference it here. Macho Man versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was on that, so I'm like, you know what? I'll watch WrestleMania 3. That's really what it came down to.
Absolutely.
And there's a couple other things that happened in this WrestleMania that kind of had reverberations that happened later on, but I have to make a reference to the fact that we had a must-bow match at this WrestleMania, and I don't think this other match took place at WrestleMania, but there was also a Kiss My Foot match between Jerry the King Lawler and was it Bret Hart? I want to say it was Bret Hart.
Yeah, Bret Hart, yeah.
So, I'm not saying that WWE does things repetitive, but there's a weird similarity there. And of course, Harley Race had Bobby Heenan and the Fabulous Moolah with him. This is now refresh my memory. If I recall, there wasn't a clean pin, but there was. Didn't Junkyard Dog get distracted and then
there was a distraction, and then of course Harley Race did the belly suplex to get the win, and I didn't even like the ending, honestly. But I mean, I understand the story with it and how it was booked. However, the ending just didn't go really well with me. I remember this match. I'm like, that was one thing I didn't like about the match. I didn't like the ending. And it's a Junkyard Dog, man. It's like one of the biggest icons ever. It's like I just didn't like the ending and just didn't like it at all. So I thought it was just, he could have had a better spot on the card too, by the way. But hey, it's Harley Race too.
This one I kind of I'm gonna give myself D for the notes because I just put not a clean win, so I had to refresh my memory what happened.
Yeah.
So I get it. You want the Harley Race to go over? Okay. Let him low blow the Junkyard Dog to where it doesn't look like the Junkyard Dog kind of hurt himself. Of course, I don't think he bowed. I don't remember him bowing at all. And
the thing is, low blows weren't like a big thing like back then. It wasn't like, years later. It wasn't, the low blows weren't like okay, it's not like you look at it, the last several years, we'll just low blow them and then they get cradle them in front of the victories. It wasn't, back then it was a little different how they booked things. I just feel like they could have done away with how much what the finisher was, pretty much. This was not a Pat Patterson booking.
No, but I just realized you called Harley Race's move the incorrect name. It's not a belly to belly; it's a belly to Bailey.
Very funny.
But yeah, Junkyard Dog, I did kind of hit him with a chair. Crowd got behind it, so
yeah.
The ending definitely hurt its rating here. It's Harley Race and Junkyard Dog. They could have done so much more. I actually gave it
absolutely. It could have been. I mean, you got two big names right there. I mean, I thought there's going to be more with it, but I get a 5.5.
Yeah, that's the same as mine.
Yeah, it just could have been more, but I think a lot of people. I mean, you look at different. I know this is obviously a much different generation, going back into the 80s here, late 80s. It's just a lot of people that are especially younger ones that don't know about Junkyard Dog, of course, and Harley Race as well. Those guys were just, Harley Race at this point in time, he wasn't in the main event spot as he, was into it earlier in his career, but Harley Race was major world champion in his prime and one of the all-time greatest. Junkyard Dog wasn't the world title main event guy. He was a big name, and he was, it's just a lot of people. Some people forget, or they forget. Some people don't understand the significance with the Junkyard Dog of how big he was, how significant he was to the business. Big part of it. So that's why I was a little let down by this.
Right. It's just if you want a Harley Race to go over, you don't make Junkyard Dog look incompetent.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what they did. They didn't look incompetent. Which, it's weird because Vince McMahon seems to like to do that with his baby faces.
Happens that way sometimes, too. More than it should, honestly.
There was something I had seen, and it's one of those kind of comments I said to myself, but it kind of rings true. It's kind of in the same vein of that, but it has more to do with the referees. The fact that WWE has, for storytelling purposes, I get it, but for storytelling purposes, they have regulated the referees to being dumbasses. And there's like one instance where, now there is a spot that I think is absolutely entertaining. It's like the one where the Eddie Guerrero, hitting the chair on the mat and then falling over, and the other guy's holding the chair, and the ref's like, "Oh, well, obviously that had to be you." But there's been a couple instances where I watched it, and I'm like, Eddie's pointing at the guy. Obviously, he didn't really get hit with a chair. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, it made for a good show, but it's like, you're making your referee look a little bit, have more, give them blonde hair.
Yeah.
Like a blonde moment.
You can make it work. You can make it work. It's just like, the referee doesn't have to be a giant dumbass. But it is what it is. That's how WWE wants to book it. That's how WWE wants to book it. I actually didn't know they were called this, but the next match was the Dream Team, which was Greg Valentine and Bruce Beefcake, with Johnny Valiant and Dino Bravo against the Rougeau brothers, Jacques Rougeau and Raymond Rougeau.
I was not actually aware too much of the Dream Team name myself either, honestly. I was very well aware of these people, but just not so much familiar with the team name myself, honestly. So you're not alone.
It was one of those when I heard it, I'm like, really? That's the name? I mean, there could have been so many different names they could have went with.
Like Hammer and Beef. I wasn't aware of how much of an alliance there was, honestly. I remember.
Yeah, and it plays in later.
Yeah. I'm just saying I just didn't realize how much the significant. Yeah, especially the name too. I was like, what the hell? But it was an alright match. Fair average match. Decent story. I mean, the story got better at the end, but Greg the Hammer, Bo was always a fan of his style, even later in his career too. And of course, Brutus did the Beefcake, or at least as Conrad Thompson said, Brutus the effing Beefcake. It's kind of funny the way he references Beefcake into his podcast. But Vince McMahon was wanting to make Beefcake one of the next big things a few years later after this.
Well, I always like to call Bruce Beefcake Hulk Hogan's best friend, because that seems to be what his role was in a lot.
Kind of was, yeah.
It's weird that's how it came to be, but it is what it is.
Well, man, they were close friends outside the ring too.
Right. But everything that Brutus did, including in WCW, it became because he was, Hulk Hogan's best friend.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's it kind of was like at one point in time, you look at Jimmy Hart. He was close with Hogan for a little while, and then of course you had Savage and Hogan that were friends for a while, and that obviously turned sour and went back to being good, and then it turns. It just but Bruce Barber UK, he stayed close to Hogan in his career. They had just that connection, that chemistry. Of course, you go hear dirty rumors from people on the dirt sheets, and you hear weird stuff, but I don't really care. They were a good connection on camera.
What are you talking about?
Oh, if you don't know, then never mind. We'll leave that one alone. I thought you would actually know that, but it ain't a big deal. More importantly, that's not the important stuff. The important stuff, they had a good connection on camera. They were good buddies outside the business, or outside the ring. So it was Vince McMahon would want to put a lot of stock into Brutus, and it didn't always go well. But I thought that Brutus could have been something even more. But it is what it is. But that was a good. It said this match was fair. So Brutus eventually he saw a face, the start of a face turn with the end of the match. Of course, Hammer and Brutus won as heels, as a heelish win.
But now you're gonna make me look it up. Damn it! All
right,
really?
Not right now.
Well, not right now, because I don't know what you're talking about.
It's mainly stirred up to get from Hogan's ex-wife, mainly.
I think I know what you're talking about. I do think you're talking about when all the whole stuff came out before, right?
Yes, a long time ago. I probably shouldn't even mention it on this damn thing, but either way.
I mean, people can find it on the internet. I'm not going to really openly talk about it right now, but you could look it up on the internet. I just completely forgot about that.
Basically, they were so close as friends that there was a misinterpretation, or at least a let's make something out of nothing, or at least I don't even care, honestly, as far as what was said. More or less, hey, you got the talented guy, Brutus Barber Beefcake, and they're friends. You see Brutus the Beefcake, you see him. It's a good connection with him and Hogan. Of course, one time he had Savage and Hogan. Obviously, personal lives didn't go very well for a while there, but
I completely forgot about it. But either way, all right. So with this team, what did you end up rating the match?
5.
Okay, I can agree to that. I was actually kind of leaning like a 4. I was going to say 4.7, but I don't like doing that. So because it's close to 5, I'll just go 5.
It's odd because it's funny because you rate it between the 5s and the whole numbers. I do with the 7s or the 3s.
I don't touch those. It's either 5 and a whole. That's about it.
That's fine.
This is a preference. It's just a preference of mine. Now,
you can be weird if you want.
Yeah, I will be. A perfect score gets a 5 out of 7. That's how it's going to be.
I want to get your reaction on that one.
Well, I mean, I don't mind being odd. I'm majority of my life.
I'm weird myself. Just thought I want to get like, what?
I put my shoes on. I put my shoes on first, and I put on my socks. It's all right.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I put my shorts on first, and my underwear second.
Yeah, but that's because you're trying to be Quail Man.
Hey, man, what's wrong with that? I guess I don't know.
Nothing. Oh,
let's not get into that.
Okay. So I'm gonna add this in here. People from the '90s or people not from the '90s, Google Doug Quail Man. It'll completely make sense. It's a cartoon from the '90s. Anyway, so the next match is Roddy Piper against Adrian Adonis, the first character that Vince McMahon had that was kind of on that what's that word? I'm gonna blank on it, but basically the same place he got Goldust from, where it's kind of ambiguous character. This is an adorable Adrian Adonis. He had the Flower Shop TV show because this is back in the era where every wrestler had a TV show.
There was something significant about the adorable Adrian.
It was one of the first ambiguous characters.
Well, hang on. Sorry, y'all. Got my nicotine I haven't put in my mouth. No, nicotine habit. There's something more. Yeah, shut up. There's something more significant than that. I'm trying to remember what happened. I'll think about it later on. But
I want to say originally that the creation of this character was kind of like I don't want to say it's basically Vince McMahon being petty. Why he made him that particular character, but I guess Adrian Adonis kind of ran with it.
I think the significance is more or less something that happened outside the ring, inside the business though.
Okay, well,